Retro Quickies 3D Worldrunner. If there's one thing that older games like to do on a regular basis, it was to experiment and try new things and gimmicks, even if those gimmicks don't always work out. In this case, pre-Final Fantasy Square decided to take the basic idea of a behind-the-back racing game and combine it with an auto-running platformer, and then slap on a 3D glasses gimmick. It's actually a pretty novel-looking game, very different from a lot of the games that came before it, but I think that novelty is its greatest strength. You play as a professional generic hero man, Jack, running through the 8 worlds of ascending difficulty to clear out the hostile alien creatures that reside there, with the big obstacle being that there are very large, wide canyons in your way, and as such you have to jump your way across with your amazing moon jump skills. You can also get various power-ups by slamming your face into pillars that you come across as well, potions to give you an extra hit, atoms to make you temporarily unstoppable, missiles that give you a one-time use projectile, and mushrooms. Don't get the mushrooms, they kill you. The goal of each stage is pretty simple, just get to the end without losing all your lives, lose them all and it's game over. But the game does have a pretty basic continue code that lets you restart from the beginning of a world, so that's nice of them. In order to do that, you weave between obstacles and jump over pits. And this is where the racing game comparison comes in. You can speed up and slow down your character by pushing up or down on the D-pad, and while going slower does make it easier to weave through enemies, who are often shifting left and right, it basically makes it impossible to make longer jumps, but going too fast can also cause you to overshoot some short jumps. Though thankfully you have a lot of control over how high or low your jump can go, and later levels require you to make massive jumps using these springs that let you keep your momentum going. The problem here is that the precision needed for some of these parts gets incredibly heavy not long into the game. After World 1, which is fairly breezy and does a decent job of letting you experiment with the basic controls and how the game works, World 2 immediately throws you into the deep end right after you've learned how to float, with enemies that will track your movements and follow you, obstacles that will move to block your path so that you run out the time limit, jumps that are basically impossible to react properly to in the moment due to the strange draw distance of the game, requiring a lot of memorization to get past properly, and obstacles that will kill you instantly if you don't perfectly react to them. The missiles that you can pick up don't even do much to help. Unlike the potion that at least lets you take a hit from an enemy without losing a life, the missile launches so fast that it's only really useful on a lark. Chances are good you won't be able to react fast enough to take out an enemy that's in your way if you're already going to run into them. And while it can be used to at least clear away 1 or 2 specific obstacles, I forgot that I even had it most of the time. The bosses are actually one of the game's easiest parts, as they all play out in the same way, like something out of Space Harrier, with Jack suddenly gaining the ability to fly and shoot forward, which he doesn't possess at any point outside of these fights, though none of them are really that dangerous, especially if you just rapidly fire your way through them. The game can be fun in short bursts, but unfortunately, with 8 worlds to go through, it kind of overstays its welcome, and the inability to properly react to upcoming obstacles that you haven't seen before, coupled with needing to restart the level every time you lose a life, kind of sours the experience. The graphics, though, are pretty nice to look at. A lot of the sprites are pretty big and chunky, enemy designs are cute, and I actually really like the effect of running forward and having enemies and obstacles get closer to you. Of course, if you wanted to throw that out the window, you can just hit the select button and boom, instant migraine. Yes, the 3D in the title wasn't really referring to the perspective, instead the game's major selling point, its stereoscopic 3D mode, where you could just put on a pair of those old red and blue paper cuts waiting to happen and kinda sorta feel like things on the screen were popping out at you. I don't have the glasses, so I can't make a call as to how well this works, but it's just amusing to me how long games and movies have been trying to sell themselves on 3D gimmicks like this. Since it's something you have to toggle, it's not that big a deal, but I would absolutely love to know if there's anyone out there who decided to damage their retinas by playing through the game entirely via this mode. The music is also pretty good, and I'm willing to bet that's what most of you know this game for. Even if you don't know what the game is from, if you've been in the retro game space for any amount of time, you have most definitely heard the main level theme from this game in some capacity. It's fun, it's peppy, it's whimsical, and it's also one of the only pieces of music you hear for the entirety of your playtime. Yes, there are other music pieces in this game, like the boss theme or bonus level theme, which is another piece of music I like thanks to its more relaxed, laid-back, and dreamlike manner, but you won't be hearing them nearly as often. And the decision to have no music on the main menu screen is an interesting and ominous choice and doesn't match up with the tone of the rest of the game at all. Overall, I like the game, but it doesn't take long after picking it up again for me to realize why I never got too far into it, as I find the game pretty frustrating, and after a certain point, a lot of it just starts to blend together. It's still something I'd recommend trying out because it's a solid little title, definitely better than some of the other stuff that Square was putting out before Final Fantasy, which, by the way, was right around the corner when this game was released. Well, at the very least, we'll always have that bop of a main tune to enjoy, so if for nothing else, thanks for that, 3D Worldrunner.